You don't just choose to be an Oilers fan. You're drafted into it. Probably before you could walk. Definitely before you knew what disappointment felt like. Your first words? Somewhere between Dada and Gretzky. Your first heartbreak. That came later, but spoiler alert, it was hockey related. You're raised not on fairy tales, but on VHS tapes of 84 and 85. Your bedtime stories feature Gretzky, Messier, Coffey, Fior, all skating through your dreams like gods on frozen water. You don't support a team, you worship a dynasty. And the temple? Northland Coliseum. The Oilers didn't just win back then, they humiliated teams. They made 5 cups in 7 years feel normal. Like, oh, it's June? Time to raise another banner and chug Molson out of Lord Stanley's mug. Your dad talks about those days like a war veteran. Voice lowers, eyes glaze over. Son, you should have seen Wayne in '87. Pure magic. You weren't alive, but you've seen the highlights, heard the legends, felt the pressure of a franchise that peaked before you hit puberty. And that's the curse. You're not chasing a cup, you're chasing ghosts. You're not cheering for the Oilers, you're praying they become what they used to be. Spoiler, they won't. Not today, not with the current blue line, not while Connor McDavid is playing 28 minutes a night to cover for everyone else's mistakes. But hey, at least we have the memories, even if they're not yours. August 9th, 1988, the day hockey died in Edmonton, and Hollywood got a hockey team that people actually watched. Wayne Gretzky, the best player in the history of the sport, traded away like a clearance item at Canadian Tire. And for what? $15 million. Jimmy Carson, a couple draft picks. They didn't just trade the great one, they sold your childhood dreams for cash and a guy who'd be gone in less than 2 seasons. It wasn't a rebuild, it was betrayal. Fans wept, reporters cried, people held vigils in full Oilers gear like someone had died. And honestly, someone did. The soul of the franchise. Gretzky didn't just leave. He was forced to hold a press conference where he cried on national TV. Meanwhile, Peter Pocklington sat next to him like a Bond villain who just sold the moon. In LA, they got brighter lights, higher ticket sales, and suddenly, celebrities in the front row pretending they knew what offside was. You got the emotional equivalent of a puck to the groin. It was the moment you realized, this isn't just a game, it's a business. And in business, loyalty gets traded faster than a signed Yari Curry jersey on eBay. The dynasty didn't end with a loss. It ended with a press conference. With Wayne in tears, the fan base in shock, and a city left clinging to highlight reels. You still see the footage every year. The tears, the microphones, the heartbreak. And every time someone calls Edmonton a small market team, you feel that pit in your stomach again. Because no matter how many years go by, you'll never forgive them for it. Out of nowhere, the 2006 Oilers got hot. Not built to win, not stacked, just possessed. They slipped into the playoffs as the number 8 seed and stunned everyone. Red Wings, gone. Sharks, gone. Ducks, gone. Suddenly, they were in the Stanley Cup final. Rolfsson played like he was channeling Fior. Pisani turned into playoff Gretzky. Pronger was everywhere. Smith, Hemsky, even Rafi Torres all locked in. It wasn't luck, it was a resurrection. Then game 1 of the final, Rolfsson gets hurt. Ty Conklin steps in. And the dream? 2007 to 2015. 8 straight seasons without a playoff game. 10 years where hope was draft lottery and success meant finishing 28th instead of 30th. It wasn't a rebuild, it was a hostage situation. Your GM was Kevin Lowe, or Steve Tambellini, or Craig McTavish. You lost track because the front office was spinning faster than your bottom 6. And every year, they promised it was the start of something special. Spoiler, it was the start of another season in hell. You drafted Taylor Hall, then Nugent Hopkins, then Yakupov, which felt like drafting a Red Bull with no hockey IQ. By 2015, your first overall picks were stacking up like overdue parking tickets. It got so bad, the league had to rig the lottery just to make it stop. Because at a certain point, it wasn't even funny, it was cruel. You burned through coaches like they were scented candles. Pat Quinn, Tom Rennie, Ralph Kruger, Dallas Eakins, and his magic whiteboard of sadness. You had no defense, no structure, and no goaltending. Just vibes and the occasional Ales Hemsky highlight to keep you breathing. The Oilers were an NHL team on paper, but on the ice, they were a glitch. They gave up 2-on-1s like Halloween candy. Power plays were optional. The penalty kill was a suicide mission. And goaltending was a horror show with rotating masks. Dubnyk, broken in Edmonton, fixed the second he left. Khabibulin, 1,000 years old. Ben Scrivens, he had one good game and a lifetime of trauma. Nikolai Khabibulin, Victor Fast, Richard Bachman. It was the league's leftover goalie bin. Fans showed up because they had to, because their identity was tangled in this mess. You didn't cheer for wins. You cheered for not being embarrassed on SportsCenter. The decade of darkness wasn't just failure. It was institutional rot. It was mismanagement passed down like a cursed family heirloom. And even when you got McDavid in 2015, you didn't celebrate. You exhaled and muttered, "Please don't ruin this one too." Spoiler, you're trying your best. This should be the golden era. You have Connor McDavid, the fastest human ever strapped into skates. Leon Draisaitl, a 6'2" German cyborg who scores like he's offended by goaltenders. You didn't just hit the jackpot, you hit two. McDavid, a once-in-a-generation talent. Draisaitl, a Hart Trophy winner in his spare time. Together, they put up more points than your defense has blocked shots. And yet, somehow, you're still not winning. Not really. A second-round appearance is treated like a damn miracle. A Western Conference final? Call the Pope. Let's be honest, the only reason you're not at the bottom of the standings right now is because those two drag this franchise like a Costco sled full of cinder blocks. Every night, McDavid plays 25+ minutes like his life depends on it. And it kinda does, because if he doesn't, you lose. Meanwhile, Draisaitl casually puts up 4 points on one leg and nobody blinks. You're numb to greatness, because no matter what they do, no matter how many highlight reels, clutch goals, or what did I just witness moments they create, there's always some guy named Vinny Desharnais trying to clear the front of the net with a pool noodle. You've surrounded generational talent with question marks. Not players, not difference makers, just question marks and skates. Ken Holland's big solution? Let's sign Jack Campbell to a $25 million deal and pray he doesn't implode. Spoiler, he imploded. And look, you had time to fix it. You had cap space. You had draft picks. You just spent them on guys who belong on line 4 in Bakersfield. You're watching Connor McDavid enter his prime, while he's being coached by a guy who probably still uses Windows 98 and thinks Corsi is a brand of pasta. There is no excuse. You have the two best players in the world, and nothing to show for it but memes and moral victories. And now the clock is ticking. Every summer that goes by without a cup run, that's one step closer to Connor walking into management and saying, "I'm done." And if that happens, if McDavid leaves, the decade of darkness will look like the good times. If you've ever strapped on the pads and dreamed of being an NHL starter, do not go to Edmonton. This franchise doesn't develop goalies, it buries them. It's not a crease, it's a crypt. It started after the dynasty. Once Fuhr was gone, the Oilers have been cycling through netminders like Tinder dates. Desperate, short-lived, and almost always regrettable. Tommy Salo, great, until he got beat from center ice in the Olympics and was never the same. Dwayne Rollison gave you the 2006 miracle run, then got hurt in Game 1 of the final, and the dream shattered with his ACL. Nikolai Khabibulin showed up halfway into a retirement plan. Devin Dubnyk, broken here, fixed immediately somewhere else. Classic Oilers. Then came the era of total chaos. Ben Scrivens had one legendary 59-save shutout, and then never recovered. Victor Fast just sounds like a creative goalie from EA Sports. Cam Talbot gave you one good year. You rode him like Secretariat, then ran him into the ground. And just when it seemed like the carousel might finally stop, Jack Campbell, 5 years, $25 million, was supposed to be the answer. Instead, he became a cautionary tale. The guy got sent to the AHL less than a year into his contract. Not just bad, full-blown goalie in a crisis mode. Couldn't stop a beach ball, couldn't find his confidence with a GPS. Meanwhile, you're watching Stuart Skinner try to carry the load with a defense that treats rebounds like radioactive waste. And even when Skinner's solid, the fans are holding their breath like he's defusing a bomb every time someone winds up at the blue line. You don't have a goalie pipeline, you have a goalie shredder. Every netminder that walks through Edmonton's doors either collapses, burns out, or leaves and becomes magically competent somewhere else. It's not bad luck, it's a system failure. You treat goalies like IKEA furniture, cheap, replaceable, and constantly falling apart under pressure. And until this team figures out how to build from the net out, every season will feel like deja vu. Except the nightmare isn't ending, it's just changing masks. 2 years, 2 chances, 2 different versions of the same heartbreak. 2024, the dream felt real. McDavid and Draisaitl were on one. The Oilers buzzed through the playoffs like a team possessed. Finally, you said, finally. But then came the Panthers. Bobrovsky stood on his head. Your depth evaporated. Skinner melted faster than a Slurpee in July. 7 games. Done. It hurt, but you told yourself, oh, we're close. We'll be back. And somehow, you were. 2025, another run. Another ridiculous year from 97 and 29. More heroics, more highlight reels. You bulldozed the West. The Cup final, rematch. You wanted revenge. You got a rerun. This time, it wasn't even close. Florida came back hungrier. You came back tired. Game 2, OT loss. Game 5, embarrassing. Game 6, Florida wanted it more, again. Draisaitl was battling through some injury they'll make a documentary about in 5 years. Your depth? Gone fishing. Your goalie? Still seeing ghosts of Matthew Tkachuk. Back-to-back cup final appearances. No banner, no redemption, just silence. And that's the thing. Most franchises would kill for 2 straight trips to the final. But when you have the 2 best players in the world, anything less than lifting the cup feels like a collapse. This wasn't a step forward. This was a realization. You're wasting generational greatness. And the window is not just closing, it's creaking shut while management still tries to fix the hinges with duct tape and vibes. Now every year that passes, every goal that isn't enough, every missed opportunity, it doesn't just hurt, it haunts. Every time the Oilers season ends, whether it's April, May, or tragically June, there's one thought that slams you in the chest harder than a cross-ice pass from Bouchard. How much longer will Connor stay? Because you know the truth. You've seen the look on his face during post-game interviews. That dead-eyed, 1,000-yard stare after another series lost, another 2-point night wasted. The man's built like a cheat code, and he's stuck playing co-op with broken controllers. McDavid doesn't throw tantrums. He doesn't demand trades. He just silently sets the NHL on fire, then watches it burn him back. And every time you fall short, every time you dress your 6 defensive men and only trust 2 of them, that clock ticks louder. He said all the right things. I love Edmonton. I want to win here. But we've heard it before. Tavares loved Long Island. Superstars don't always leave in a blaze of glory. Sometimes they just walk away while the fan base is still in shock. And if Connor walks, it won't just be another rebuild. It'll be a funeral. The team, the fan base, the entire city, all of it has been built around the promise of him. McDavid was supposed to be your redemption arc, your Gretzky 2.0, your hockey messiah. And now, 10 years in, you've got no cup. No parade, just miles of highlight reels and one long painful question. Did we just waste the greatest player of this generation? So now you live in fear. Fear that another second-round exit will be the last straw. That one day he'll skate off the ice, untape his stick and say, I gave you everything I had. And you'll believe him, because he did. So what do? Same thing you always do. You rewatch the good games. You convince yourself the decor is improving. You talk about just needing one more piece. And you pray, not for a cup, but for time. Just a little more time. See you next year, Connor. Being an Oilers fan isn't about logic. It's not about winning. It's about endurance. You were born into this, handed a dynasty's legacy, and left with a wreckage. You've had the greatest player of all time, twice. You've seen cups, collapses, and Connor McDavid skate like a god, only to watch it all end in silence. You've screamed at goalies, at coaches, at the universe. And yet, you're still here, still wearing the jersey, still posting, still hoping, still saying, this is our year, even when you know it's not. Because you've seen greatness, and you need to believe it'll happen again. So here's to the blown leads, the broken sticks, the heartbreaks, hangovers, and the lies we tell ourselves in October. You don't cheer for the Oilers because they win. You cheer because one day, they might. And when that day comes, it won't be a win. It'll be salvation. Until then, you suffer, you hope, you scream. Welcome to the pain. We've got 5 cups, 2 MVPs, and absolutely no idea what we're doing.